Hello and welcome to 5 Minute Retro, where I talk about an old gadget from my collection for 5 minutes and play it, look at it, turn it over, tell you what I know about it and what I don't know about it. This one is my first video on a Nintendo Game & Watch, and in this case you can see it's Mickey Mouse. If you're not familiar with these Game & Watches, in the early 80s, if you were a kid, this is exactly what you wanted instead of a Nintendo or a PlayStation or a Switch or whatever kids lust after today. When I was 10 and 11 in 1980 and 81, these were the devices I wanted. They cost about £25 back then. I guess that's about £50 or £60 in today's money, which is kind of funny because that's what some of these go for on eBay these days. In particular, Mickey Mouse. I looked at it just before I started this video, and it goes for about 70 quid loose, which is not bad, is it? The reason I picked this one, I've got a few in my collection, is because it's slightly unusual in the control method. As we'll come to that in a second. Now these are little pocket-sized devices with an LCD liquid crystal display, and they're run by two watch batteries, in this case two LR43 cells, which are the tiny little button cells. This is a particularly nice little device because on the back it has a little metal stand, which is great for display, although practically useless for actually playing, because if you try to touch any of these buttons it just falls over, as you can see. But it's nice that this is still intact. These things often snapped off over the years, and given that this device is now 36 years old, the fact that it still has that and the whole thing is still in working order, I find frankly amazing. This particular one's been in my garage for years. I think I picked it up at a car boot sale about 20 years ago. As I said, I didn't own this one as a kid, but I would love to. These devices are all very similar. They have a few control buttons. Most of them have a Game A and a Game B button. The Game A tends to be a little bit easier. Game B tends to be a little bit faster. They have a time button so that you can go back to the time whenever you want to. These two little indented buttons here are labelled alarm. Well, that's pretty obvious. You can pop a little paper clip in there and set an alarm, and ACL is all clear if you want to reset the device and start again. Nintendo made loads of these over the years, about 59 or 60 in total, depending on which numbers you choose, starting in 1980 with what they called the Silver range. This is the widescreen range, as you can see, because the screen is a bit wider than the original silver and gold ones, and going up to some tabletop ones and some dual screen ones, and then finishing, I think, later with the crystal screen ones, which I think were basically see-through, quite impressively clear little devices. So let's have a go at it. If we press Game A, because I'm not very good at this, and I'll talk you through what's slightly unusual about this device, or this particular version of a Game & Watch, and in my opinion, it's the controls, which are these diagonal buttons. Most of these games were kind of lefty-righty, uppy-downy, but this one is diagonally, I don't know what the word is for that, but you can see that I'm controlling Mickey Mouse here, and I'm having to make him lift his arms up or drop his arms down to collect eggs that are dropping from these various hens. And you can tell from the sound effects that I've already dropped an egg. That's kind of because I'm playing through a mobile phone screen as I record, and also because I'm not very good at the game. And what you can see as I play is that these LCD screens, unlike modern handheld consoles, or even not so modern ones like, say, the Game Boy, these have fixed templates for the graphics. So Mickey can only do a certain number of things. In this case, he can move his arms up or down, and he can turn left or right. And the eggs go across and highlight the particular templates that have been marked out for them as the game progresses. If you've seen some of my other videos, and I'll put some links to those here at the end, you'll know that this is very similar to the vacuum fluorescent displays, the VFDs, that we've seen on Munchman and Tomy Caveman. It's the same kind of idea. The difference here is that these LCDs will run for weeks and weeks and weeks, possibly months, off just a couple of tiny little button cells. And that, I think, is why they were in many ways more practical and much more interesting to a child, because you could take them to school, put them in your satchel or your backpack, and use them for a long while. Have a lot of fun out of them as well. These are great little devices. I love this one. I've got a few more over the months. I'm sure I'll get to them. But I don't want to talk for over 5 minutes, because that's the whole remit of this channel. If you like what I do, please subscribe. I'll put the button around about there. If you want to see some more, click one of the links here. And until next time, happy retro.